So we've focused a lot. This meeting today was here focusing on hemp grain, but hemp grain is a hemp plant, and there are some benefits to growing hemp being a farmer. So what sort of benefits and what reasons why a farmer should or might consider growing hemp, regardless of hemp grain or hemp fiber, but primarily industrial hemp? What benefits would you kind of explain to a farmer that might be interested?
Clout? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Well, like I said, there's a lot of room for artisanal products. Like if you have some kind of snack line or some food you're already doing, it really gives your product an edge to have local hemp added to it. Like I think we all probably know hemp is pretty sexy. Like anything that's got hemp in it, it gives that product a higher profit margin, whether it's a cookie or a, hemp wood or clothing, anything. So just being a part of that higher profit margin group, assuming that every year went wonderfully and your storage is great and your contract is awesome. That might be a reason. Also, health for your soil, like getting a rotation crop in there. You definitely might consider it, especially with the fiber, or a dual crop. You might consider it just for the soil health properties. Thanks, Rachel.
Yeah, and I would say, so we created we have a handout here that kind of details the comparisons versus corn, soybeans, and hemp. And last year, we couldn't say this. Last year, the prices of those commodities were about double where they are today. So it was much harder to sell last year when we're at record prices for corn and soybeans. But this year, those prices have leveled out, and we're actually seeing on our model, which the data that we pulled was from the University of Illinois' 2024 crop forecast. And so pretty good data there. And we see that in an acre of growing hemp, just for the fiber, and we didn't even account for any of the grain there, we're at, I think the numbers is about $414, $413 per acre. And I believe the corn was at like $237 or something profit. And so just that reason alone, I mean, if you're looking at dollars and cents, so it's actually, $237 an acre for corn, 221 bushels at $4.80. And then with hemp, about 4 ton, you yield about $413 an acre. So the monetary side, obviously. And I think sustainability, if you're on a multi-generational farm and you're passing that land down to future generations, I would think that, continually eroding and degrading the soil as opposed to building up the soil. And with that hemp plant, you get the best taproot that I know of that goes into the ground to break up bad soil and stuff like that. So those would be my reasons.
Yeah, there's only one place in North Carolina that compares to the Midwest for corn production, and that's the Blacklands. We don't have that magnificent top layer that just keeps on going forever, but we have something that's some moss, like a peat soil. But what we're seeing is the soil starting to, you're having to change some of the designations on the soil test reports, because over time we're losing that organic matter. And so that's the number one thing that I could consider would be the introduction of organic matter back to the soil. I noticed they baled corn stalks here is unique to us. I asked Jarett, like, surely they're going to plant a cover crop to replace all that wonderful corn fodder, but I don't know what you guys deal with in the spring, so I know better than come in and make a bunch of assumptions, but it's just not a common practice in North Carolina. We just bush hog it, waste it all, I guess. But it sure is nice for the rotation in the spring when that corn fodder is breaking down, unless it's a super wet year. But the hemp does that. In that process, when you're baling it, the leaves tend to fall off and return to the soil. And during fiber production, at least during the retting, a lot of the nutrients are also returned to the soil. So it's got a good taproot. It's a good recycler of nutrients, which is super important because nitrogen is not coming down, nor potash, potassium, or any of the microbes. So it could be a really good rotational crop for nutrient recycling, soil health because of the organic matter, remediation. We've already talked about if you got some heavy metals you're contending with. But then also from a stewardship standpoint, we're burning through our chemistries pretty quick. Everybody knows that there's a lot of pressure on organic phosphates. A lot of our residual chemistry is starting to break down. And we don't have many more lines of defense. Right now, they're just combining a bunch together. You know, as far as the new products that we see in the spring, I didn't see a whole lot of weeds as I rode around here, so you guys are doing a good job, from what I can tell. But there's resistance every single year, and it's not good. And so that was the reason I got into the game 7 years ago, was because it's a cool germ plant. Typically, it'll come up in a 45-degree, 50-degree soil. It'll jump out way ahead of pigweed, because if it doesn't, pigweed will grow to be 12 feet tall, just like the hemp. Been there, done that, seen it. So that's our #1 weed back home is pigweed. If it's not controlled properly, again, farmers doing a really good job with their toolbox to control that, but you can't out hustle Mother Nature. At some point, there's going to be a breakdown in our system, and there's going to be a weed problem. It's going to be something that we all have to deal with together, and you might have to go back to plowing land, which nobody wants to do, or bottom plowing, or plowing through the year. Everybody's no-till, and if you count on no-till, you're counting on the cover crop, but you're also counting on chemistry. And so I think a stewardship standpoint, we need a new rotational crop to work in, and that could be very region specific. It doesn't have to be for the whole world, but if you guys got an opportunity in Illinois, you could rotate in 400 or 500 acres in the year 2,000 or 3,000, and just do that and give everything a break once a year. I think that's going to be super valuable just in and of itself. Just from a stewardship standpoint, it is one of those crops you can grow kind of like corn. If you get it right up front, it kind of takes the load off the system.